Hello and welcome to the Wool and Twine Fiber Studio YouTube channel. My name is Jule and I'm the dyer and maker behind Wool and Twine Fiber Studio, which is a small creative space located here in northern Germany, where I play with botanical dyes and natural yarns. Welcome to a new preview episode that I wanted to record for you today. I have dyed a lot of yarn for a new collection coming up, and for those of you who are new here, I like to do these previews in order to show you the colorways in natural light and movement, because it's much more accurate than on any kind of photo. So I wholeheartedly recommend, if you're interested in some of my yarn and you would like to get some, it's always the best to base your purchase decisions on video, based on the video, with a little disclaimer that obviously every monitor is different. I work with a calibrated monitor and make sure that I can output the colors as precisely and accurately as possible. However, it's always, there is always a bit of a difference. But yeah, I just wanted to say that because sometimes it's difficult. I obviously also post photos on Instagram, but those are most of the time edited for aesthetic reasons and not as accurate as these type of videos. So I always recommend checking out these videos where I preview all of the shades. For the February collection, I dyed a lot of yarn and also have quite some variety in the bases. And that is for multiple reasons that I will talk about a bit later in the admin section of the video. But I'm trying to keep this intro short and sweet because, I have a lot to show to you. And I guess without further ado, let me give you a bit of an overview of what bases will be available. So base-wise, for this collection, we have 3 different bases. One of them being our Nurture base, which is a very special yarn made up from 100% fin sheep wool, and is spun to a single ply of 380 meters per 100 grams. So pretty normal fingering weight yarn. And this yarn is extremely special because it was created in collaboration with Annina of Idenkährämö, which is a small spinning mill in Finland, where Annina does her magic. And all of this batch that I am showing you now has been sourced also from a single farm where Annina knows the farmer personally, and she then transports it to her mill, and at this stage it's also washed, carded and spun. So it travels very minimally. Plus, I'm very happy to announce that as of, I think, end of last year, we made an agreement that I can buy the full shearings of said shepherd who's providing the fleeces for Nurture. And it makes me incredibly happy because that was always ultimately what I wanted to do, is give value to wool and give safety to sheep farmers by, promising them to take the whole shearing each year or twice a year, depending on how many times they're shearing. Because there is a huge issue with the value of European wools. I'll not go into detail in this video, but let me know if you're interested in, my knowledge about this, and I can record a separate video about this. However, this is very special and a super, super nice yarn. I have a full video of showcasing this yarn with samples, swatches, all kinds of things. And I even have some footage of how the yarn was made because I recorded some footage at the mill so you can see where it's made. And it's just super special because I think a lot of people don't really, don't really know what real fin sheep wool is, because I think there are some brands who having fin sheep wool or fin wool in their yarns, and it's mostly like a mixed breed fin sheep with something else, for example, a texel or something, because um, the amount of fin sheep out there is very small. So it's not like for huge industrial scale that you can get fin sheep wool. And if you're familiar with these type of fin wool bases, then nurture is something completely different. It's much, much, much softer, much finer, and it has a beautiful halo. So yeah, it's definitely super special, and I highly, highly recommend checking out the dedicated video about this that I recorded. And I think, yeah, if you're new to this base, it's usually going relatively quickly because I have limited amounts of it. And what's really cool about this is that I can have it in different base shades, because fin sheep come in different colors, a lot of them actually, and then blending those actually gives a huge variety of neutrals. So what I always try to do is have a good variety of dyed shades as well as some undyed to match them, and to just use them together potentially. And that's what I also did for this time. Quick disclaimer here, some of these have been around before, but it's a completely new spin of these colorways. So if you have purchased, for example, Lakeside or Porridge before from another shop update, and you need, an additional skein or something for a project, you cannot match these exactly because they might differ a little bit, just because, the color of the sheep's fleeces in its natural state varies quite a bit over the years. So even though this is the same recipe of like blended fibers, it might not be completely the exact same because it's a different spin. But yeah, with that being said, Nurture will be one of the bases that we'll restock. The second one that we'll have is our Cloud Silk Mohair, which is a lace weight silk mohair yarn with 420 meters per 50 grams. And it's a 75% mohair and 28% silk, with the specialty that this is custom spun and created for me from RMS certified mohair, which ensures that the mohair goats have been treated very well and that the animal welfare is at a very high standard for this fiber. And with the silk part of this yarn, it's a cruelty-free silk, which has derived from after the silk moth has hatched the cocoon, which, in commercial silk production is a different thing. I don't want to go into detail about this, but yeah, I'm incredibly happy to be able to offer a silk mohair blend that is up to my ethical standards. Yeah, this base is potentially going to discontinue this year, so we have a little bit more in stock that I can dye, but this might be the best to last collection where you can actually get this base. And so I just wanted to put that out there because, to be honest, for full transparency, the supply for cruelty-free silk is not necessarily super reliable on the long run. And it's difficult to source it, and I'm not willing to make any compromises in that regard. So yeah, not really sure if I can actually maintain stocking this base on the long run. That's why I'm just giving a little disclaimer out there that it might discontinue, at least temporarily. But yeah, I dyed a huge rainbow on this base for this update, just so you can stock up on your favorite colorways potentially. Yeah, and the third base in this collection will be ovis sock, which is our classic non-superwash and plastic-free sock yarn that is from 100% wool. So it's a 50% Jacob and 50% Cheviot sheep wool with a higher twist for durability and a slightly heavier weight than your traditional sock yarn in order to achieve a tighter gauge for durability as well. I'm thinking of doing, as mentioned in my latest podcast episode, I'm thinking of doing a series about natural sock knitting and, plastic-free sock knitting. So feel free to always leave comments and questions and, what you're interested in below, because then I can also, extend that series depending on how many topics there are to cover. I try to restock this relatively often, because it's a bit of a classic by now, and you seem to really love it. And yeah, so I wanted to also bring it back Plus, there is a pattern launching in this yarn at the end of this month that I will also show to you later, because I have a bunch of new samples that will be shown later in the video. So definitely stay tuned for that and use the timestamps below in case you're interested in seeing the samples and what else I've created. But I guess without further ado, let me start sharing all the colorways that we'll have available for this launch. So a little disclaimer before I actually show you the colorways. I know this has been a lot of info in regards of meter ridge and all that stuff. Just so you know, if you're new here, I have a whole base page where all of these yarns are actually listed, including pattern suggestions, needle sizes, or needle ranges rather, the blends, and everything you need to know about them. So if this was a bit too fast of a recap of these bases, just check out the base page that I'll link down below, and you will find everything you need to know there. Right, but now we're at the point where I will actually start showing you some colors. So I am beyond excited to share, let me see if I can hold them all, to share the new batch of Nurture with you, because I know that you all love this base as much as I do. And without further ado, let me start sharing some of the shades. So here are two that we already had before. These are Porridge, which is a light, beautiful, warmish beige, and Lakeside, which is a silvery, beautiful, cool-toned gray. Hope you can see that. And these two have been around before, but as said, if they might be from a different spin, so the colors might vary a tiny little bit. But yeah, these are Porridge and then Lakeside. Then we have a new shade that you might have had a sneak peek at when you were following me on Instagram, because I knit a new sample in this one. And this one is Mocha. It's a super nice, rich, warm brown that I just absolutely love. And it is inspired because I'm trying to keep the Finnish heritage of this yarn kind of alive with the colorway names. And this shade was actually inspired by tradition of coffee drinking in Finland. So, and especially not only drinking coffee, but especially by a certain type of cake that I was introduced to by my friends last year that is called mokkapalat, if I'm saying that correctly. And it's like a deep, dark brownie with sprinkles on top and coffee in it, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, that is what gave the inspiration of this mocha colorway. And I'm just so happy with this shade. And I'm picky with browns, but this is just the perfect brown in my eyes. So this is Mocha. Then we have another new shade. And this one is called Night Sky. And it's so beautiful. And it has a blend of black and some white fibers. And as you can see, it features these tiny little flecks of white throughout that makes the colorway very lively. And actually, Annina, when she was spinning it, or when she had it in the mill, she was referencing to it and said it looked a bit like a starry night, or like a night sky where you can see the stars. And that's why it's called Night Sky, because I think that's just a beautiful reference of seeing the little white flecks as stars in the night sky. So yeah, this one is called Night Sky, and it's just a beautiful, super dark, elegant anthracite type of color. And then last but definitely not least, one of my absolute favorites, because you know how much I love these kind of shades. This one is Licorice, and it is a true deep black. And I would say, in comparison to other sheepy blacks, Finn sheep is one of the blacks that gets as close to a real jet black as it can get. Obviously, there is a slight warm tinge to it as always, because sheep don't get blue undertones, most of them. But I think it's the most black I have ever seen in a natural sheep. So yeah, this one is Licorice. Also inspired by the Finnish and also Scandinavian tradition of eating licorice, or salmiakki, as they say in Finland. So we here in the north of Germany are actually lovers of licorice as well. So I know it's a controversial kind of sweet and a lot of people don't like it. I love it myself, especially the extra salty ones. So I definitely wanted to pay a tribute to both the Finnish tradition and also my personal liking of licorice with this colorway. And it's just a black, if I may just say so. So that's why I love it so much, because I personally, I wear a lot of black linen dresses. So I absolutely just love it. And as you can see, in the black especially, you can see maybe the little flecks of vegetable matter that's still in the yarn. And that is because it's so minimally processed that you can still see, the nature in the skeins, which is what I absolutely love about this base. So yeah, these are the 3 new dark beauties that we'll have in this base. I should also maybe show Night Sky and Licorice next to each other, just because, yeah, there you can see that while Night Sky already is quite dark, Licorice is the actual black tone. And I absolutely love both of the shades. And then, adding some warmth with Mocha just felt really, really right. So yeah, I'll hold them all up together. These are all of the natural shades we have in Nurture, and I'm just so obsessed. Before I continue with the dyed shades, I wanted to mention that I sometimes it happens that some of the skeins don't turn out in 100% 100-gram skeins. That doesn't mean that the yarn has any kind of flaws or anything. It's just that it's in the reeling process, it can sometimes happen that some skeins are not the full 100 grams. And it can happen that if some customers like me who get these yarns spun don't take them, they will go to waste. But that's definitely not something we want to do here. So I always ask Annina to send me those skeins that are not, they're like 90 grams or like 70 or whatever. So I also get them. And what I like to do, and also did in the past, is I make little sets from them. So I hope this is not too loud and crinkly. But these are little 500-gram packs of yarn that I like to make from these so-called, I would say, mill ends, or whatever they are called, like the underweight skeins. Some of them are even overweight. It's just that they are not the 100-gram skeins that I usually have as an increment to sell my yarn in. So I weigh them and I pack them into these little packets, and these are like pre-packed sweater packs that you can get at a slightly discounted rate. So you'll get 500 grams, or even most of the times it's a relatively generous 500 grams, so it's maybe 520 or something. And you can get those at a discounted rate. So they are a little bit cheaper than if you would get 5 individual 100-gram skeins. And that way we can make use of these like odds and ends that happen during the process. And, you can save some money. So I guess it's a win-win situation. And I'll pack them in these beautiful little brown paper bags just so they feel a little bit special as well. They will also get a label with the yarn base on the front. The individual skeins inside are not labeled, just so you know. So you'll just get the one label on the front, and I wholeheartedly recommend keeping it so you can still reference like meterage and everything. I think I will have this in most bases. I'm not 100%, most colorways of the undyeds. I'm not 100% sure. I will double check. And some of them I might just have 1 or 2, and of some I might have 5 or 10. So if you're curious about these, it's definitely advisable to check in on time for the update. But yeah, these are the little 500-gram sweater packs. They will also be listed in this type of picture. I will take a picture of them for the product listing just so you can find them easily. And yeah, it will be one listing, and then in the drop-down menu, you'll choose the colorway that you would like. But yeah, most of the times when I have these, they go relatively quickly. So just so you know. But yeah, this is the little sweater pack. I will put this down on the floor now so it's not like making any noises. I hate when these kind of paper bags are really loud and crinkly. So yeah, so far about all the natural colors. I have also, because I know that I have relatively large batches of these, and I know not everyone likes to knit them on their own, just like with one strand of Nurture, because not everyone likes to knit with fingering weight, although I do love to do that. But I have prepared a little special for all of these new natural shades that we have, and decided to find their match in the Knitting for Olive mohair, because what I cannot do is dye enough of cloud in the same amount that I have skeins of these natural shades. Plus, I don't feel comfortable dyeing blacks with my facilities, because it takes a lot of modifiers that can be harsh on the fibers, and especially with mohair, you know, it's a very delicate fiber. Even though the silk can be quite strong, but it doesn't withstand a lot of the high temperatures plus the modifiers that would be required to dye blacks. So I don't usually do it on my protein fiber based yarns. Long story short, I attempted to find great matches in the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair, which is the only silk mohair I recommend apart from my own, because it also features a cruelty-free silk content. And I will link the base down below from their website. Knitting for Olive is not sponsoring this, by the way. I have bought all of these skeins with my own money. And so I will just show you what you can use in order to match the natural shades with it. So at first I tried to match mocha, and there are two matches that I found beautiful options, and these are the two. The top one is chocolate and the lower one is dark cognac. Just in case you wanted to shift the hue of the mocha colorway to a cooler or a slightly warmer tone. I have also knit swatches of both options, just so you can see. So this one is the combination of mocha with chocolate, so the slightly more cool toned version. And then this one is mocha with dark cognac. So this is the slightly warmer pairing. But yeah, here are they side by side. I hope this is somewhat visible. And I can definitely say that this combo of yarns is dreamy to work with. You will also be able to see a full sample in this yarn combo that I will show a little bit later in the video. Just stay tuned for that. But yeah, these are the two matches for mocha. Then we have one match for licorice, which is licorice in Knitting for Olive's soft silk mohair. It's actually called the same, so I love that there is obviously the same inspiration behind this. I mean, Knitting for Olive is a Danish-based brand, so obviously they also consume some licorice. So you can see that licorice is a tiny, tiny bit more blue in undertone than licorice on Nurture, but it's that's due to the natural warmth of sheep's wool, I guess. And but when you hold them together, you don't notice it. So it's like a very cohesive, true black fabric, and I love this. So this is how licorice and licorice look knitted up. It's very beautiful, I think. And even if I made these little tabs, and even in these tabs, you cannot really see a huge difference between the two colors. So they are very close match. These are just for me to remember which colorways I used. So I made these little tabby things to actually keep track of all of my little samples. So these are the matches for mocha and then licorice. And for Night Sky, we also have two matches. One of them being, a bit more out there, because I thought, why not, try something else? So a pretty close match is actually Dark Moose. It might look a little bit more warm on camera than it is in real life. In real life, it leans a bit more towards like a green purpley shade, like undertone. And then I also thought it might be fun to combine Midnight with it, because Midnight is actually a deep blue, but with, very, very muted and almost like grayish. And I thought it could be quite nice to match it with Night Sky, to give it more of like a blue actual night sky vibe. And I'm super happy with how it turned out. So this is the combination of night sky and dark moose. So this is actually like a pretty close exact color match of the dark anthracite color. And then I also did the midnight one, which is more bluish in undertone. I hope you can see that. It's very subtle, but it gives a bit of a bluish tone. I love this color combo, and I'm actually like thinking about making a piece for my partner with this because he would love it. But yeah, here are they side by side. I hope this helps in case you want to use this one with a silk mohair because, yeah, as said, I'm not able to make enough of such dark colors to provide enough for the amount of nurture I have. So I hope this helps a little bit. Just for reference, I knitted all of these swatches on either 3.5, 375 or 4mm needles. That is all totally doable. They are somewhere between, I would say 21, 22, 20 stitches. Like, it really depends. You can really stretch this gauge because you can really make it more open. It will fill in the gaps quite well, and it's very versatile that way. So yeah, I will, all of these swatches are knitted on like a 3.5 to 4mm needle, because that's, I think, what's the sweet spot. However, you can also totally use like a 4.5 or whatever for a more open gauge. That's totally doable. But yeah, I hope this little demonstration of silk mohair colors was somewhat, helpful. If you're curious about a specific combo, always feel free to reach out to me via email, and I will, just try to look for the perfect combo for you. Just because there are so many possibilities when it comes to changing the hue of a color. So I guess without further ado, this is going to be such a long video. I'm already so sorry. But without further ado, let me finally start sharing the colorways with you. So I have a bunch of dyed colorways, and I will need to reference them back in my notebook here because it's impossible to keep them all in my head, just because we also have so many bases and then so many colorway names. So I kind of need to check my little notebook here for the sake of me remembering all of this. But yeah, the natural ones I already showed to you, and now we're getting to the dyed ones. So let me show you the first one. This is called Ginger, and it is a beautiful muted, warm reddish brown. Next up, we have Primrose, which is a light, soft, airy rose tone. These are all dyed on different shades of the nurture base, so it's quite interesting to see how the undertone of the yarn plays with the dyed shade. So this one is Primrose. Next up, we have Hawthorn, and let me get up Primrose again so you can see it together. It's more of like a warm, rosy tone, whereas Primrose is a bit more coolish in undertone and slightly less saturated. So these are Primrose and then Hawthorn. Next up, we have Opal, which is a super light lilac-y shade that really shifts the hue, because there's also like an undertone. You can see that there's some heathering undertone, so it's very beautiful. So it reminded me of Opal. Next up, we have Heather, which is a slightly more saturated bluish undertoned pink. I think this is very pretty. And then next up, we have Rosewood, which is also like a more saturated but warm undertoned pink, just so you can see it in reference to Heather. This one is Heather and this one is Rosewood. A bit more saturated, but still like quite light and like a mid-tone shade, I would say. Next up, we're transitioning into the slightly darker shades, and this one is like I'm having a hard time not keeping a sweater quantity for myself. This is Aronia, and it is a burgundy but brown undertoned and not purple undertoned shade, if that makes sense. So it's like a dark muted red with some brown mixed in, if that makes sense. So this one is Aronia, and it's one of my absolute faves. I kind of want to keep some skeins for myself. Let's see, maybe I will sneak out one or so, because you can make a good accessory with just one skein, so I guess that's very tempting. And next one is equally nice, I guess, and this one is Velvet. It's a dark, even darker burgundy, and maybe a bit more saturated. Let me compare them. Than Aronia. So Aronia is a bit more like the muted twin to Velvet, if that makes sense. And this one is Velvet. Matches my nails. I just realized. So I really like that one. Next up we have Maroon, which is a bit more of like a brownish undertone. Especially like if you compare it to Aronia. Aronia is more reddish, and then Maroon is more brown, but it also has a pretty red undertone, so it's like a red-brown. This is Maroon. Next up, we have Chestnut, which is a warmish, orangey undertoned brown. Also really nice, I think. So this one is Chestnut. Next up, we have Bark, and this one is like Chestnut's slightly less warm brother. If you can see them side by side, this one is Chestnut and this one is Bark. Love them. Next up, we have Fig, which is a deep muted purple, but it has this like dustiness to it because it's dyed on a dark base, so it's very like muted and not as loud. I love this one. I should also maybe hold it up against Velvet so you can see the different undertones. So this one is Fig, and then Velvet is much redder, and then Fig is a lot more purple. Next up, we have Sage, which is a very muted, soft, dark olivey green, if that makes sense. I'm very bad at describing this, but I hope you can get the idea. So this one is Sage. And then we also have Kelp, which is more warm brownish in undertone compared to that one. And it's also very pretty, I think. It's also dyed on a dark brown base, so that makes it, gives it this rich undertone. And then lastly, we have Moorlands, which is the brownest of them all, but it still has a green undertone. I don't know if that's even visible in this light. I hope it is. But yeah, I think it's also very nice. Then we have Straw, which is like a mustardy, olivey yellow, but with a slight desaturated tone to it. So this one is called Straw, and I really like it. And last but not least, let me get them here. We have two more shades that are more on the lighter side. This one is called Mist, and it's like a super light blue-green. I should maybe hold it up next to Lakeside so you can see that it's actually like more blue-green in undertone than the natural color. So this one is Mist. And then we also have Seafoam, which is even more greenish in undertone, but still has this slightly bluish hue. So here are they side by side. So this one is Mist, and then this one is Seafoam. And for comparison, this one is the undyed Lakeside colorway. I hope this is helpful that I'm trying to hold them up kind of next to each other. But yeah, these are all of the shades that we'll have on Nurture. I know it's a huge palette already, and I'm sorry this video is going to be really long, so just feel free to skip whatever sections you're not interested in. But yeah, I just really wanted to make a big palette for this time. So guess without further rambling, I'm going to show you the colorways on Cloud Silk Mohair. Right, let me get to the Cloud colorways. This is the first one, and it is called Linen, and it is like a more saturated beige with slightly pink undertones. Very pretty, I think. Next up, we have its slightly lighter brother Oat, and this is, a neutral light beige. This one goes really well with porridge. I'm going to show you a sample in the combination of porridge and oat in a bit. Also very fitting that they're both like oat-based things. This was not intentional, but yeah, this is a great combo. So this one is oat. Then next up, we have Dusty Rose, which is a Dusty Rose colorway. So very muted, beautifully soft, rosy tone. And then next up we have Blossom, which is this super light pinkish shade. I hope you can see that. It's very pretty and very elegant, I think. So this one is Blossom. Next up we have Wisteria, which is this beautiful warm toned purple. And it's slightly cooler sibling Iris. So this one is less warm in undertone. It's more like a proper purple. So here you can see Wisteria and then Iris next to it. So the next shades are Mulberry, which is a dark burgundy red. Then Russet, which is also a dark red, but less purple in undertone than Mulberry. And then we also have another one in this category that is called Maple. And this is like a dusty red with some more orange undertones, if I'm making sense. So here they are side by side. So it's, let me say, yeah, Mulberry, Russet, and then Maple on this side. They are similar, but also not. So I kind of wanted to hold them up side by side. Next up, we have Clove, which is a warm orangey undertoned brown. And also Acorn, which is a slightly less warm, less yellowy brown. Here are they side by side, so you can see. Next up, we have Lichen, which is this beautiful golden olivey yellow. And then the two last colorways are Sprout, which is a super nice lively green, but it still is a bit muted, so it's not like in your face green, like not like a Kermit green. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just not my palette. So this one is Sprout. And then lastly, we have Nettle, which is this super soft, light green with some bluish undertones that I think are so nice. I love this one. It almost looks like glow in the dark kind of pieces. So yeah, I'll do my best to assist you with finding good matches. So, always feel free to email me and I'll do my very best to help you find the right match. However, I just ask you to use my email and not my Instagram DMs or like YouTube comments, because it might be that I'm seeing that too late. It's a bit hard for me to monitor those during launch weeks. So yeah, email is always best. And without further ado, I'll show you the colorways on Overstock. All right, let me start showing you the colorways on Overstock. This first one is called Orchid, and it is a beautiful warm pink. Next up, we have Mellow, which is even a bit more saturated. So you can see them side by side here. Next up, we have Half, which is even more saturated, I would say. So you can see them here side by side. Next up, we have one shade that I know you're going to love because you always love when I do reds. So this one is the Rowan colorway on Overstock. That is just a very saturated red with a tiny bit of a bluish undertone, I would say. But other than that, relatively neutral in undertone. Next up, we have Plum, which is this beautiful warm undertoned purple. Next up, we have Currant, and this one is slightly more reddish in undertone and darker than Plum. I don't know if that's visible, maybe a little bit. It's close, but also not. So, yeah, this one is Plum, and then this one is Currant. Next up, we have Lilac, which is this beautiful springy lilac color that I think is just very nice. So yeah, this one is Lilac. Next up, we have Burnt Sienna, and this one is like a hybrid of red and brown, I would say, with some warm undertones. So this one is Burnt Sienna. Next up, we have Nutmeg, which is this desaturated reddish brown. And also its slightly warmer companion, hazel, which is slightly warmer in undertone than nutmeg. I love these brown tones. You know that I love them, so I had to bring back some more of them. Next up, we have fawn, which is this super light, soft, orangey shade with that even has some variegation almost throughout. So I really like this one. It's a great base for any kind of warm toned color work project, I think. So this one is fawn. Next up, we have golden hour, which is this beautiful mustardy yellow, followed by a slightly desaturated version of that that's called wither. And this is something between a yellow and a green, very light, very elegant, and also a great base if you wanted to make some color work socks with some more of the punchy colors. Speaking of more saturation and punchiness, we have fern. This is more of like a more saturated green. The greens always show up a bit more muted on the screen, so I hope you can actually see it. So this one is fern. Next up, we have juniper, which is almost looking purple on screen. I promise it's actually green. And I guess that finally brings me to the end of my extremely long list of colorways for this launch. And without further ado, let me give you a little bit of info on why that is. So the reason why I tried to work up such an extensive palette of shades is that we will be adjusting prices in the next couple of months. I always try to hold up these things as much as I can, and by bulk ordering and optimizing my processes, I always try to hold off the raising prices for materials and pretty much everything surrounding the running of this business. However, over the past years, the raw wool cost and also spinning costs have skyrocketed, and at this point, I'm not able to take on the price raises anymore. So we will need to adjust prices over the next couple of months. It will happen probably gradually. However, this collection will still be available at the old prices. And I wanted to make as much yarn possible, as many bases and varieties available as I could, just so you can, snag yourself a skein at the old pricing before they will be adjusted over the next months. And that also will be accompanied by a little backstock sale, which I also wanted to run in order for you to be able to grab a skein at a discounted rate before I have to up the prices a little bit. Some selected bases from the backstock will be at 15% off. No code needed. They will just start to be discounted with the launch. The backstock sale will be running until March 8th at 11 p.m. CET. So you have a little bit over 1 week to shop the backstock sale as well. And I also wanted to make that available with the February collection, so you will be able to have everything combined in shipping. And make it as convenient as possible. I don't really like to put up prices, but it's inevitable at this point, and we have to. If we want to sustain this business, I have to take action. So I'm trying to make things make up for that by having a huge palette this time, so you can get everything at the lower prices at this point, and also maybe shop the sale if you would like to. I guess that is it for the, little price whatever section. Now let me start showing you something a bit more fun and present my newest samples to you. I will have 4 new samples for you, which is incredible, and I'm super, super happy with it. But I just thought to maybe for you to visualize some of the new nurture colors, it would be nice. And then also the combo. I've never had a sample in nurture with silk mohair, so I also wanted to make sure we have that covered. Plus, there is also a new pattern coming in ovis that I also obviously wanted to test knit and sample knit, so I could showcase it. And without further ado, let me start sharing it with you. So these are the Petra socks by Laura McLean of Sunday Morning Knits, and she creates beautiful patterns, and she has also made other patterns in this stitch pattern that is the Petra series kind of. But the Petra socks are now another addition to that series, and I wanted to share them with you. The pattern will be launching at the end of this month as well, probably alongside the update if I'm not mistaken. I will definitely put the launch date down below, and also as soon as it's launched, link the pattern for you. It's definitely very fun to knit, and I can wholeheartedly recommend. It's this textured stitch. Very fun. I will show them more in depth in a new podcast episode, but just so you have a bit of inspiration on what you can make with ovis sock. I use the clove colorway, which currently should be in stock even. So yeah, this is the clove colorway, and these are the Petra socks by Laura McLean. Next up, we have a cardigan pattern. Let me see if I can get this off here. That is also a recent release, and I love this one so much. You've seen this on my podcast episode potentially, but this is my finished Terra cardigan by Joanna Philippe, and it's just such a nice piece of, wardrobe staple. Are we getting some lighting issues here? No. So this is just such a nice wardrobe staple, and I knitted this one in the mocha colorway of Nurture, just so you can get an idea of how it looks knitted up. I think it's just super nice, and I can't wait to show this one also in depth in a new podcast episode. But yeah, this is what Nurture Mocha looks like knitted up. I've held it double, so no mohair in this one. It's just the mocha colorway. Speaking of holding it with mohair, though, we have another sample that I absolutely love, and this is the Linea cardigan by Leke of Fiber Tales, and it's so pretty. I love how summery and ethereal this is. I will also show this one more in depth in a new podcast episode, but this is worked up in porridge on Nurture and the oat colorway in the silk mohair. I purposefully tried to choose a not super solid match, but you can see how beautiful it marls together. I think it's so pretty. So yeah, this is the Linea cardigan. As mentioned, all the details will also be in new podcast episodes, as well as in my Ravelry projects that I have already set up, just so you know how much yarn I used for these ones. But yeah, I will reference them again in depth. And then we have one last sample. This is the Lenu hood by Anke Strick. And it's just a super sweet hood pattern, because I think Nurture is really great to wear around the face, because I think it's very soft, for me at least, and I definitely enjoy wearing it next to the face or against the face. And this is so cute. It has this little I-cord detail. And this one was actually done by Nela, my sister, who also loves the Nurture base. So she knitted up this little sample of the Leno hood that I just really love. It's so cute. This one will be going back to Nela's again, but I just wanted to share how it looks. So this one is also the Lakeside colorway in held double, knitted on 4mm needles. So yeah, those are all of my beautiful new samples. I should probably also let you know what I am wearing, because I get a lot of questions about this slip over whenever I'm wearing it. This is the Lulu slip over by Petite Knit. I will link my Ravelry project down below, and it is knitted in Solace worsted, which is what I also will have a little bit more stock of, just of the undyed colorway for the upcoming launch, just because I'm getting so many questions about this slip over, and you seem to be very excited about knitting your own. However, I have very little left of this spin of Solace, so I won't have the worsted weight in a dyed colorways again. So yeah, I'm just putting up stock of the undyed as I can. But just so you know, this is going to be available as well. I'm also currently running a little giveaway of the 52 Weeks of Sweaters book by Line Publishing, which is in another video that I'm linking here. You can win a copy there, and I'm also sharing my 10 favorite patterns from the book, including yarn suggestions from my lineup. So in case you need a bit more inspiration on what to make, you're very welcome to check out that video. I will link it also down below. The giveaway is open for a couple more days, so you can still join if you want to. And yeah, that's just what I wanted to quickly share with you, and I hope wishing you best of luck for you to win. For this last admin section, I want to keep it short and sweet and just let you know that the February launch is coming on February 27th at 8 p.m. CET, which is my local time zone as always. And I'm incredibly happy to share this whole collection with you. This date is when everything that I just showed you will be going live. And until then, if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out via email, and I'm happy to help you calculate yardages, find perfect pattern matches, whatever. There's also pattern suggestions for each base that I will link down below, that I have curated. But other than that, I'm happy to always help you with picking the right patterns for your color choices, whatever you might need. But I guess this video is already long enough, so I'm wrapping it up here. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions via email. I'm super happy to have you here, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.